I am Vaughn, Linda A. Vaughn, and I am running for Barnstable County Commissioner. I'm better off without a mic. Everybody hear me without a mic? I'd rather talk without a mic. I'm Linda A. Vaughn, and I am running for Barnstable County Commissioner because I am new and fresh. And I feel that's what the county needs, someone like myself. I'm a blue-collar worker. I've worked in many businesses, I've ran my own businesses, and I feel like the county needs somebody like me who's a manager, who's really been in there. I've worked for different restaurants, from small, personal-owned restaurants up to the Sheraton Tower out in Framingham, where I was the food and beverage manager. I had 100 employees underneath me. I had to balance all my budgets. Ordering your food and your liquor, you have to make sure you're at a certain cost so that you never cut into your budget. Nobody ever runs a business where you spend more than you take in. And that's the kind of things that I would like to bring to the Barnstable County. Someone like myself who's a manager, I'm a conservative. I hate when anybody spends tax money that's not spent wisely. The way the county's been run lately is they've been balancing from the bottom up. I believe that we really need to vet a lot of the programs that the county oversees. One of my biggest challenges as I've been running for county commissioner is educating everybody on what is county government and what do we do as county commissioners. And what we do is very valuable. All the programs that the county oversees is valuable to all the 15 towns that make up Barnstable County. Where each town cannot fiscally do the work, that's where the county comes in with the programs that we oversee. And our main responsibility as commissioners is balancing that budget. So we really need to make sure the budget is balanced. If it's not balanced, all these great programs that we've worked so hard to establish all these years are not going to be able to be sustainable. So I would like to bring my new and fresh approach to Barnstable County. Again, I'm a blue-collar worker. I'm running my own house cleaning business right now. I'm a mother of twin boys that are now 32. I don't know how that can be because I'm still 32, so I was good at math. I don't know, that doesn't add up. And I am a proud grandmother of a 1-year-old grandson. And being a grandparent is everything they said it would be and lots more. So that's why I jumped into this race. I really care about the Cape. I care about our future, the future generation coming up. I'm also substitute teaching right now in the DY school system, and I'm really enjoying that. So when I hear you speak about the schools and the maintenance these schools need and the new playgrounds they need, we do need them in the schools. I'm seeing it firsthand now that I'm in the school departments. God bless all our hardworking teachers in the school departments because they really are doing a great job. They have a lot on their plate. The children that are in these schools now have a lot on their plate. Most of the children are not from families where mom and dad are there. I'll ask the children, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And they'll say, well, I'm going to daddy's. And I say, oh, does your daddy live here in the Cape? No, he doesn't. So these children have a lot on their plate. And we really need to make sure that we can offer them a lot of programs where, like I said, if the town can't offer it, that's where the county steps in. We got the 4-H club. We have a lot of things that the county oversees, our firefighters academy. Again, a lot of really important things that are of value to Barnstable County. And again, I would like to bring my new and fresh, I'm not a politician, so I'm going to come in fresh ideas and a fresh outlook on how we can balance the budget and keep all these programs here for all of our residents in the Cape. So I'd like to ask for your vote on November 8th for Bond, Linda A. Bond. Thank you very much.
Nothing like damaging the project. Well, good evening, and I'm so happy to be here tonight to talk with you about county government and what it means to Cape Cod, why I like to be involved in county government, and why I really want to begin. My husband and I moved to the Cape in 1979. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I went to college at Public University with a bachelor's in nursing. And then I moved on out to Columbus, Ohio, to Ohio State University. where I got a master's degree in nursing administration. At that time, Congress had passed the National Nurse Training Act because there were not enough nurses who were master's prepared in the country. So I was able to go to graduate school with some support from the federal government, which was pretty nice. So at one point then, I then moved back to Washington, D.C., which was home, worked at Georgetown University for a number of years in nursing, and met my husband, and then eventually we moved to Cape. And at that time, of course, we were in Falmouth. Falmouth Hospital didn't need any nurses at that point. And so my husband and I bought a business, and we owned a convenience store for 15 years. And it was a great opportunity. I mean, I love the work, I love meeting the people. And that's what spurred me to run for selectman in Falmouth, which I did in 1993. And I spent 18 years as a selectman. It's hard to believe. Those of you who've been on the Barnstable Town Council for any number of years realize what it is. But it was a wonderful opportunity for me to get to know the people in the town and to really understand how town government works. And that was really what encouraged me to run for county commissioner back in 2008 when the opportunity came up. So I did, and I won. And I've had 2 terms as county commissioner. And I think the county really has no governing authority over the towns, as you well know. Home rule really prevails in the state of Massachusetts. Every town is governed by home rule. But what we can do are provide services that, on a regional basis, that really would help to save towns money. And I think one of the best examples of that, the easiest one to understand, are fuel bills. I mean, every town has police vehicles, fire, DPW vehicles. I mean, there are numerous vehicles that are used in the municipality. So we do the fuel bills for all the towns in the Cape. And that way, we're able to purchase the fuel at a much lower price, which really saves money for the towns. Now, we've looked at ways in which we might be able to further that type of regional planning and providing or bidding for regional services. We've done some of it, but not a whole lot of it, but I think we can do more. You know, you have to realize that home rule is really a big thing on Cape Cod. I mean, towns do not want to give up any of their authority. They really don't. So, but I think when we can work with them and show the towns that the county can help in this area, we can provide these services. And so that's, in running again, I hope that that's one thing that the county commissioners can do, is to further that whole concept of working with towns to provide those regional services. As you know, our offices are right down the road here in West Barnstable, and we have a great relationship with the West Barnstable community group, Joe Berlandy and Ann Kennedy. We are part of West Barnstable Village, and we have been looking at ways in which to improve the county complex. Obviously it's going to cost us some money, but what we do is very important to the people in the village. So we've been working together with them and doing our planning with them so that they know what we're doing and we know what their needs are. Because the county is important to the village. It provides a lot of people who use the services in the village. And the village is important to the county. So that relationship is really important. With the judiciary, we have met with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court, and he's very happy with the court services that are provided in the county. And so there's no intent on the part of the judiciary to change any of that. So what we are planning to do is to move our offices out of the Superior Court, which now is the building that's been there since, 1685, something like that. And actually turn over all that space to the court. And we can use some of the space that's available in the old jail which are beginning to renovate over time. But I think the whole idea is to make that complex work, make it work for the county, and make it work for the people who live in the West Marston Village. So I hope you will consider me on November 8th. I am running for re-election, and I would really appreciate your vote. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Forrest, and I too am a candidate for County Commissioner, and I'm here to ask you to vote on November 8th. For just a moment, let me give you just a little bit of background about the office and the race itself. Some of you, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there are 3 county commissioners. And in this election cycle, there are 2 that are up for being voted on, all right? And tonight you have 3 candidates who are seeking election to 2 of those seats. I've never run for elected office before. What I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about my background and some of my priorities. First of all, I'm from Yarmouth, which is, I lived there with my wife Carol, and I raised 2 kids there through the DY school system. I started my career in Provincetown, in the town manager's office. How's that? Okay. Is that better? Can you hear me okay now? Great. So I'm from the town of Yarmouth. I raised 2 kids there that went through the Dennis Yarmouth school system. In the town manager's office in Provincetown, I was largely charged with addressing the town's financial problems in the town manager's office. We had some serious issues. We had trouble balancing the budget. We needed to set some spending priorities. We needed to develop a capital plan. We actually also had to reconstruct some financial records. There were just a whole host of issues there. So my background in municipal government was put to use to help the town get its fiscal house in order. I also, while in Provincetown, worked on some major sort of big issues, as I would say. All right? Part of my work was involved in redeveloping the town's waterfront, rebuilding McMillan Pier. Some of you may have been to Provincetown. If you look at the waterfront, if you visit McMillan Wharf, and those facilities there, those are facilities that I worked on getting permitted, planned, funded, and developed. I also worked on doing a lot of work in rebuilding the town's water system and helping the town get access to funds for sewers and wastewater projects. While I was there, was my first exposure to the issue of groundwater contamination, pollution impacting our water supplies. Provincetown gets its water from Truro. And so land use management in the neighboring town of Truro is critically important in managing Provincetown's water supplies. And when I was there, one of the other things that I learned is not only that some of these natural resources transcend municipal boundaries, but sometimes these problems can affect neighboring towns. So a pollution problem in one community can have an enormous effect on the town next door. So while in Provincetown, I had to figure out a plan for cleaning up this contamination and then figuring out a way to get the funding for it. So in the early years of my career, they were largely focused on dealing with the managerial issues of government and getting those issues addressed, and then the big issues, the big picture issues. Now, while I was in Provincetown, I had the opportunity to get to know our congressional delegation very, very well. And it wasn't long before Congressman Studs asked me to join his staff. And he asked me to do what I was doing in Provincetown and 45 other communities within his congressional district. So I played a role as a liaison, largely to communities here on the Cape that were wrestling with very much the same problems that we were wrestling with in Provincetown, in that part of the community. So while I was with Congressman Studs, one of my biggest projects was working on the cleanup of pollution out of the military base. Some of you have heard about how serious the contamination problems have been out there and how difficult it's been to clean them up. Working with a number of stakeholders and regulatory agencies, we came together with a plan and ultimately convinced the Pentagon to step up and provide the resources necessary to deal with the problem. And while we were at it, we also created a national program for cleaning up pollution problems at military bases around the country. It's something that I'm very proud of, although I didn't have a complete control over the development of that overall program. I think our efforts here on the Cape inspired this kind of work. While with the Congressman, I also worked on Stellwagen Bank, getting that designated as a national marine sanctuary, and a host of other conservation and open space projects. I think many of you who have worked with me, know me, are well aware of the fact that Cape Cod is my passion. This is a place that I love, I care deeply about. And I think the County Commissioner's Office is a very unique and very special office to really help provide leadership in tackling some of the big issues affecting the Cape. As many of you know from reading newspapers, here in Barnstable we have some water issues, right? We have some water supply problems. One of the things that I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see the county play a more active role in working with towns to develop long-range water supply plans, to make sure that over the next coming years, each community has the ability to look forward to having a safe and adequate, reliable water supply in the years ahead. There's work that needs to be done here in Barnstable. Clearly, the county needs to be involved in cleaning up the pollution at the Fire Training Academy. We're obviously working with the town, but it's critical that we really get our arms around the adequacy and the reliability of our water supply. I believe the Cape, in dealing with not only these issues, but also dealing with the other clean water challenges that we face in the Cape, like dealing with nutrients and nutrient pollution, I believe that we're developing some very innovative and cutting-edge technologies in that area as well. And so there's no reason why the Cape can't be a center for economic development in the area of clean water technology. All right? Technologies that deal with pollution from either nutrients or pollution from other sources. When you look at the chemicals that we're dealing with respect to the Fire Training Academy, these are what we call contaminants of emergent concern. And the reality is, folks, we need to pay more attention to these types of issues, which is one of the reasons why, as a county commissioner, I'm interested in expanding the capabilities of the county labs to make sure that we can stay on top of some of these new and emerging contaminants and provide reliable information to the surrounding towns. So as the others have sort of, sorry? Okay, well, thank you. I look forward to your questions.
I hate to interrupt you, but...
No, I understand. I'm sorry. I'm glad you did, actually.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody? George?
With the fiscal issues that the county is facing in response to maintaining its own budget, but also having to cover the cost of cleanup, where does the county go? I can view the training academy as a place where other towns have used and also brought their own chemicals. Is it their responsibility by the fire departments that use that facility equally as the county, or is it one way or the other?
I'll take it, since I'm there doing it. I might as well tell you what we are doing. There is no question that there has been contamination by PFAS, is the name of the chemical. It's all over the place. It isn't just at the Fire Training Academy. But it could be coming from anywhere, and it possibly could also be coming from the airport. You know, the airport is upgrading of the wells, the Mary Dunn wells and the other wells that are there near the Fire Training Academy. The county does own one well there, and we've had it tested. We've also had DEP talk with us about it. They've actually come down. We've worked out a plan with DEP. We know it's going to cost us $1.1 million to clean up that well, and we are doing it. We have the resources to do it, and it's our job to do it. The other wells really are not county wells, but they're in the general area of where the Fire Training Academy is. So it's something that we all have to face. All over Cape Cod is PFAS. It can be anywhere. And really, we should even be testing our water supplies wherever they may be. But the county is on top of it. We have the funding. We have worked with the town of Barnstable on this very closely. We have an agreement with them. We have a mutual agreement as to how we're going to proceed. And it is, I won't say it's in litigation, but it is certainly in discussion between the county attorneys and the town's attorney. So it's moving forward. There's no reticence on the part of either party to hold back and not to move forward.
All right. Any other questions?
What was the chemical that you were mentioning there?
PFAS?
PFOS.
PFOS.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody attended the Silent Spring seminar the other day,
they talked about that a great deal during that seminar, where PFAS is what we are going to, as a region, what we're going to have to do to deal with that and preserve the safety of our drinking water supplies all over the state, not just in Boston.
Anybody else?
Just with that, in terms of the fiscal issues in the county, certainly there was a degree of revenue that wasn't being captured through some leases that weren't in place, et cetera. And I know the county administrator is working on to capture that revenue. The result of that, I think, for this fiscal year was having to recommend the delegates to raise the deed excise tax to ensure there was enough money for the county to run. I just want to hear what your perspective is as Mr. Yunus captures that revenue now. What's your position on lowering that back down now that you've captured that additional revenue versus it just being added on top of that? If so, what would you propose to do with that?
Let me just say where we are right now. We are in the budget process, and not this week, but next week, we will have all the figures from our finance director on where we are in terms of our revenue source, and there's every possibility that we may be able to send those funds back from whence they came if we don't need them. We're not going to, if we have an excess of funds, which is very possible, we're not going to just set them aside and not take that responsibility to deal with that issue.
Yeah, can you hear me in the back? People were straining to hear me in the back. Yeah, one of the things that I'm very concerned about is the long term. The revenue picture and the financial structure of the county is somewhat fragile. And the thing that I'm concerned about are the ongoing costs associated with the cleanup at the fire training academy. I've learned from my own experience that cleaning up groundwater contamination, there's always an initial estimate, but then there are other estimates. And we've always seen, I'm looking around here, people know what I'm talking about, that sometimes those costs can go well in excess of what you originally anticipated. So I think we have to take an incredibly conservative, very cautious approach in terms of the county finances coming up in the next budget cycle. Clearly, we need to be focused on relooking and revisiting the package of budget cuts that were on the table that didn't get adopted or acted on by the Assembly of Delegates. And I think we need to find ways to capture much more revenue. We've started that with the county administrator, and part of the facilities planning that's going on right now is finding ways to relocate and move some of the county departments out of courthouse space so that we can get leasing income from those facilities. So that process of beginning to turn around the county finances, that's happening now, but much more work needs to be done. Okay?
I just want to say we are moving out of this Superior Courthouse. The county offices that are left are moving up the hill, and now will be turned over back all over to the judiciary. And of course, the more space they use, the more rent they pay the county. And we're also going to move out of the Assembly of Delegates, that lower floor where the district court rather, where the assembly has been, and we're reconfiguring some of those spaces at the old jail to accommodate county offices.
Yes, and I do want to say that the